Ok, parece que ya estamos.
Okay, it looks like we are live. Saul, can you check and make sure that we are, in fact, doing that? Okay, very good. We're good.
Okay, ¿pueden ver mi screen?
Can you see my screen? Yes, we can.
¿Cuál pueden ver?
Which one can you see? MR, Marcus Rojas Insurance, the big one. Yeah. So let us begin the seminar of protecting your business, why it's important to have insurance, the agenda, why it's important to have a business insurance, what type of insurance do you need, what is general liability, and what is workman's comp. And then after this, what's the difference in an independent insurance agent and a insurance agency? And you need to, these are questions that your agent should be able to respond. Why is it important to have insurance for your business? And business insurance protects you from unexpected cause, like accidents, disasters. Lawsuits can cause, that you could lose your entire business if it's not protected. If it's inadequate, that is to say, the most important thing sometimes is health. When you ask for general liability for that type of insurance, they request it because they're trying to give you work. And sometimes it's required by the job that is. So what types of insurance do you need? There's many different types of insurance. If you have a restaurant, you need a property insurance. If you a lot of times have a contractor that works in concrete, electricity, you need general liability, which is liability, professional liability, product liability, director liability. Like cyber attacks. So then you would need liability against them. And then another one for the employee workers' comp insurance. What is generally liability? It's a general liability. It protects your business. It takes care of unexpected situation. It makes sure that you can pay claims that are slide against your business, accidents that your work or product can cause to someone else. And what could be, let's suppose that you have that you sell, what do you call it? Like a TV, and if it doesn't come out, it doesn't work, and it ruins somebody's property, or it causes it to fall on somebody. That's what it protects you against. Another, for example, if you have a restaurant and you forgot to put a sign up where it says where the floor is wet. So now this person slips, and this person has to go to the hospital or wants to sue you. The insurance protects you from court costs. So this doesn't come from the coverage of the business. It comes from the coverage of the actual insurance of the insurance company. It could be Hartford, Berkshire Hathaway. They take care of that. It doesn't go outside the million in coverage. So, what sort of things, bodily damage to property, medical payments, those are some things that general liability insurance covers. Then we also have some other extra things that could be the loss of income. If the whole restaurant burns down and now you can't sell food, you can't sell products, the insurance will cover those months or those days that you weren't unable to work, or you weren't able to have the business open. And some business property could be a refrigerator, and It could also be products that you sell. If you have a clothing store, that's also property of the business. So that you protect, that protects, if you have general liability, that all these things are covered. So what is workman's comp? You know, workman's compensation, what does it cover? This insurance for the employee or the worker. When you have compensation for your attorneys, they automatically give away that they can't, they're, you, as the owner of the business, they can't sue you. Because many times if you don't have insurance and you have employees, they can sue you, and then it's something that is covered by the under general liability insurance. They cover work accidents, and you know it covers a limit, medical without limit. They work in construction or whatever, and that person can no longer, that got hurt, and the medical payments are going to be over $1 million. The insurance has no limit. It's going to pay what they need to pay. Whether they have to pay $10 million in medical coverage, they will. There's no limit. There's no limitation, and also protects them in case they have to go to rehab for any reason. They were to die, the family that will also get a compensation for what was occurred. If they were to lose their hand, finger, if they can't return to work, they receive everything, including therapy. So who's insured? The owner. Many times when you're included in the policy, if you have coverage, the employee and the person who are paid with 1099 or volunteers. Workman's comp is a compulsory in the state of Colorado, and you're required to have it. So the difference between an independent insurance agent and insurance agency. So these insurance agents, they're like us, with us, when they're insurance, we can sell using with more than one company. It could be Hartford, it could be Berkshire Hathaway or Progressive or Nationwide. All these, they have several options for you. For example, if it comes up expensive with Hartford, then they have another thing. So when you have insurance with State Farm, that's an example. Farmers Allstate, there's a lot of company that are covered by this. So get that company, so they can send it to someone else. So State Farm, for example, is perfect. They can only insure what their own products. That's the only ones that. Does anyone have any questions at this point? Or are we good? Well, I would like to know if this is the right moment. But for example, I'd imagine for a preschool, you need a liability, right? Preschool, you have the building and everything you own, or what? We're renting inside a church. So then when you have that, you need general liability. But for a person who's renting a building, you also will need what's a bond. The bond protects the building, and they also include the general liability, and also protects the property. What is it called again? Was it bond? Bob. ¿Qué quiere decir? What does that mean, Bob?
Top of my head, pero
I don't know about the top of my head, but the Bob, it protects everybody. When you go to your agent, I have this type of business, they're gonna know that you need to protect it. Renting a business and a building, we need to get it protected in case it burns down, or something happens to the kids, or the kids were to break a window or whatever. We need to have insurance for these reasons. This is so liability for the children or the families, and then a coverage for the building. So the liability for the children, what are you referring to? For example, we're in the park and a kid falls down, for example, and he hurts himself, and somebody sues us over that. So the kid falls, and you were guilty that you didn't put something for the kid's safety. So then the insurance will cover you. Like I said, if you covers you, if you have to go to court over this, and parents got mad and they're taking you to court because my kid got really badly hurt, it's your fault, and they pay you for all that. Okay. Okay. So we need workman's compensation, right? Is another insurance as well, right? Yes. Workman's comp is necessary if you have any employees, if you're volunteers, if they get hurt, if they, let's say you're having an event and the parents come and they're volunteers, right? And they get hurt for any reason, let's say they get hurt at the event. They have coverage, you know, under the coverage of workman's comp for the business. Yes. So also I wanted to make an announcement for all the people who's attending by Facebook Live. If you have any questions, you may ask through Facebook and we can respond to it. Carla, we have a question from Facebook. Lore Garcia is asking, who checks to see whether we have our insurance? Who's checking to make sure we have the insurance that we need? Many times, for example, it could be required by the state. The state, many times, that company when it gets registered, they may say you need to insure your employees when you file your taxes. You have insurance or not? Many times having the insurance always helps us out when it comes to taxes because it's deductible when you're looking for work, and it's used mostly when somebody's a contractor. The person is asked, the person who's hiring you, it says, what's your insurance? A person who has insurance, I'm going to hire somebody. It looks better and much better when a person has insurance, because it's saying I have insurance if anything were to happen, and my insurance will respond for any issues. Another example will, when you have a building, the owner of the building wants to make sure that it will ask that you have insurance to protect the building, or if somebody gets hurt within the building, that they don't want to be sued. So those are the people who have been asked the most. So when there's cleaning, if you have a cleaning company, a person asks, do you have, make sure you have insurance. If you don't have insurance, I can't hire you, because they want to protect themselves. So the insurance is to protect ourselves and also to protect the business itself, because if you don't have any insurance, then they're going to sue you or the company. Yes, definitely. Yes. Well, excellent, excellent. Any other questions that you might have before we continue? John, hello, I'm Vero here from the chamber as well. And I want to underline what Carla just said, because friends, if you want a rental agreement to open your business, whether it be a daycare, restaurant, whatever, if you don't have insurance, you're violating the contract, because mostly the owners or the person that's renting to you, they're going to put in the business, or the business or the business person needs to have insurance, and if you don't, it's in violation of your contract. And it's, if they're really mean, they can either sue you or kick you out. So it's really important to have insurance above all when there's there's a fire or like Marshall Fire. Many people did not have insurance, or many businesses did not have insurance, and they had to pay from their own pocket to pay for costs and remodeling. So, hopefully that's your safety belt for your business. I want to add one more thing, and you just reminded me, Beto. I can also help you to have more business. Like Carla had mentioned, the contractor is one of the requirements. If I want to hire someone, I would ask them for their insurance. If they don't have it, I would not hire them. And I know there's many Latino businesses of these type that they don't have any insurance, and they are missing out on a lot of business. So please don't just do it for yourselves, but because so you have a little money at the end. So yeah. So a lot of times, a lot of people will ask, do I need it? Because I just began. Yes, it is needed. The business, in order to have a policy, does not cost so much when you start. Like, for example, a cleaning business, you can start out with just $50 a month of insurance. It's not so expensive. A lot of times you say this is going to be more expensive for me. But if there's things, if something happens, you're not the ones who want to pay that whole lawsuit, that whole claim, to hire an attorney, all those things, or make them pay somebody's medical expenses when they got hurt at your business. You're not going to be wanted to pay that because that's a whole lot of money that the insurance will have tends to put out. And many times the workman's comp protects you so the employee can't sue you. When you have workman's comp, right away, the policy, they can't sue you because they sign away the right to sue you because you've already insured yourself with the workman's comp. It's a little more expensive workman's comp, but if they get hurt, there's no limit for them to make the medical payments. A lot of times, workman's comp, all the sort of claims, they last for about 5 years. They last because they investigated it. A lot of times there's a lot of fraud in workman's comp. Like, for example, there's an employee that the weekend he fell because he was out partying, and then he reports to work and he says that he fell at work. Mondays are the days when they have the most claims, lawsuits, because supposedly they got hurt at work, but they really hadn't. But the insurance company goes and investigates this, and they do an investigation where they get everything out, so they can't lie. They can't lie. It's really difficult sometimes for a workman's comp claim. A lot of times to have a fraud because they're going to protect it. It's an insurance. It has a lot of audits, and they take as long as we need to. That's a case of a guy that was working, and that person's work, get his office and office, and he had an accident. That accident left him invalid, and he couldn't walk the rest of his life. The company paid him and is paying him for the rest of his life because he can't work anymore. So as an employee or as the owner of the business, you don't want to be paying this the rest of your life. Because this guy could not have kids. They even paid him so he could have a daughter with his wife because the insurance paid for it. So a lot of it we think about it twice of not having workman's comp, but it does help out. And a lot of times we don't, because as an owner, we don't have medical insurance. This is a way of ensuring, making sure that we're working, you have a medical insurance, at least if we get hurt while we're working. Carla, question. And workers' compensation, is that also, do you request this through an insurance independent insurance agent or an insurance company, or is it through the state? So then in the state of Colorado, I think there's only 4 states that require that it has to be with the state. The state of Texas, nobody has to have it. It's not a requirement. However, when in Colorado, you would have to get it with your independent agent, or you can do it through a state farms or farmers insurance. They also can do workman's comp, but they don't have the market, the corner in the market. It's not as large as it is, as an independent agent, because they work by companies and they work just for workman's comp. Of course, the other companies, they're giving them the price, they're going to give them the price at the price that they're getting. That's why sometimes it's better to buy from an independent agent, because they can find you more than one price. Thank you. And workman's comp also depends very much on the work that's the cheapest is office work, right? The person who works in the office, I mean, they're not going to really hurt themselves. It's the worst that can happen to them. They might have a paper cut or something silly like that. So when you're working in an office, workman's comp tends to be cheaper, but more the riskier the work job is, like like working in concrete or framing or roofing. all those are the most dangerous jobs because one obviously is up on top of homes, you could fall. You see much more loss claims with that, but with even more reason you should have workman's comp if you're doing those sort of jobs. Now, some question that your agents should be able to respond to you. When you begin your business, you were saying at the beginning, my income is going to be so great. It can be less than $100,000 or less than $50,000. So that's why really important that you check your policy every year, because it could be the business begins with 50,000 in covers, and the next year it goes better. That's a five. You need to make sure that you're paying what you should be paying to have the right coverage. Check all that, and also you have a company, and let's say you have 3 cooks and a person who does the paperwork for the office, the accounting. You need to separate out the workman's comp, and we're going to charge the 3 workers that are working in the kitchen one price, and then you charge for the person who works in the office. So they should have different rates. So let's suppose that during the year, instead of having 3 employees that are working in the kitchen, now they only have 2. So now we need to change the workman's comp, and we need to change it just like general liability. We're going to begin, the 50,000, and then next year, and it's good to know, and it's good to know the people so you can get the proper coverage. So a lot of times, for the whole year, they give you discounts if you're going throughout the years. And some of the questions you should be asking, you're going to pay for the whole year, for the 6 months, it's going to be cheaper if I'm paying in chunks, like year and 6-month chunks. And then also a lot of people, I have to, put my agency up. So you all know that you can call at 9 at night or 8 o'clock on Sundays. So they always have cell phone on all the time when you have a claim. A lot of times they say, what happened to the claim? And I'll submit it. And likewise, I give the phone number of 1-800 number for the company, and they'd file the claim. So the other day, there's a claimant who had an accident on a Sunday. He did not know what he could do that Sunday. The office is closed, but I was prepared for him. It was really important that if your agent is closed on the weekends, you have an 800 number to be able to prevent a claim. But for workman's comp, somebody gets hurt, so by the OSHA law, you need to notify them immediately. And when that happens, that's when you need to call your workman's comp company right away. In an accident with an employee fell or he got hurt, whatever. So right away, they can start doing and working on the case and pay the person and give you attend with the help that you need to do, and then you won't be able to work. So they're really, really important to do that. Your policy is to have the number 1-800 number for the company, so you can present a claim even if it's on a weekend. And if you need prices, this is our information. We're on 1515 Main Street, number 16. This is an office number, 720-8680-0485. Like I was saying, my cell phone. I'm always available, even on weekends. If you need me on Sunday at 9 at night, I will respond. And there's my email. If you need a price or you want more information, you can text me or call me. And then if you have questions, let me know. Can you go back to the next one? Yes, please, of course. Thank you. So you're in charge of the both insurances that we were talking about, workman's compensation, as well as the BOB? Yes, of everything. I do everything. Yes, that's right. Everything. So our agency, we do insure businesses. We also help you register. You're the business. We won't charge you. We do it free. Insure with whom? With whom? With whom? I'm sorry. So when you have a business, we insure it and we find you a company that's going to be cheaper for you and that gives you the best benefits. So the registration of the business, we do it to help. I'm glad his, you know, like his, you know, they don't know how to register their businesses. We do help them with that as well. So we have commercial insurance. We also have trunking a lot of times. When we don't have trucks aren't insured, we insure the ways that we help insure homes and personal items and also life insurance. Thank you, Carla. Friends, it's very important what Carla is saying. Above all, with the life insurance, because a lot of times in our Hispanic culture, we're not accustomed to this, but it's so important. We've had cases where gentlemen are driving their trucks on I-70. They have really horrible accidents, and so to have an insurance, it's very important. It's a life changer. I don't know, Carla, if you could speak a little bit more, because in many businesses here that are food businesses, I know there's some insurances that we have that I know a lot of people, you know, they have a fraud, a credit card fraud. The insurance can also cover that for you. Or somebody gets sick, you know, and they could sue you, and they, you know, for whatever reason, you know, you left food in the refrigerator that and that it went bad. I don't know if you have more tips or more information. Yes, when you have a restaurant, yes, there's extras that you need to purchase. You could purchase. You know, the refrigerator goes bad over the weekend, and then you get to the restaurant the next day, and all the food went bad. So if there's coverage under general liability with extras and things that come just with the policy, because it you know, it comes, you know, when you have a food truck, a lot of times when you have a food truck, just make sure that you insure the truck, but not, you don't insure with it with the general liability. You're thinking, I have insurance on it, but no, you need to have insurance only for the truck, which is very different than having general liability, because that's what's going to protect you. Like, for example, if somebody steals the truck, and well, how are you going to work? The general liability is going to protect that income because you lost that income because somebody stole the truck. The truck will be protected if it has a full coverage, you know, with whatever company you have. You're going to pay, it's going to pay off the truck. Businesses, like we're saying, the refrigerator as well, you know, it's going to cover that you go and buy the new material to do the food. Exactly, and I know one of our counselors here at the chamber said if somebody has a big food order and they don't pick it up, the insurance can also cover that fact that they did with a general liability, right? Yes, yeah, many times. Obviously, you know, there's a deductible or not. Some don't have deductibles. Some companies have deductibles, and many of them is about $1,500. So it's not exactly the same, but if you're going to set a claim to have a deductible for my general liability and for my workman's comp, because if it's less than the deductible, the insurance is not going to pay it because that's the required. We leave them the food with then they left you with $500. The deductible is $1,500. Well, they're not going to pay those $500. You, Carla, what would you say? What would you like to recommend to people? A friend of yours wants to get into insurance, right? What would you say are the red flags for not working with a certain insurance agent, you know? Well, it would be depending on what type or what agent you go. If you go with an independent, or if you're going to see one that's captive, I call them, if the agent doesn't want to help somebody else, is not only giving them more than one price, only one price, don't go with them because it's not worthwhile. You know, I've gone with an agent. I asked a price for the person, and you're taking 7 days to get back to, or 5 days to get back to us with the price. That's normal. It's really normal because we have to send in the prices with the insurance company. or the insurer, and that's they're going to get us information, because many times when businesses can't be insured through the companies, many times those are the roofers, like the roofers, people who work on the concreter workers, the framers, that type of insurance. So if somebody insure with the state, and that takes a long time, and so I don't. So I don't know. That's what it should take. But many times, yes. But if I have a response the same day, you know, the price is 4 days. Depending on the relationship the agent has with the person at the insurer. So another red flag is many times, that they don't give us some receipts. Please get us, read your policies, tell us, what are you buying? So you're thinking you're buying general liability and you're buying workers' comp, or if you're buying a policy, let's say that it has to do with the construction company, and and they're only giving you insurance for the forklift, not the general liability, which is what you really needed, right? Yes, perfect. Another question, quite open one. What questions you asked of somebody who wants to buy insurance? Yes, I don't know if that's really, I know, because I'm an agent, I know what sort of questions to ask, but a question that would be really important, or that you should ask about, what type of business is it? Do you think your income is going to be for 1 year? How many employees do you have? These are the main ones. What other questions would I say? Also, Carlos, they work with kids. I know in their sectors there's many people that have, well, they're daycare or home-based businesses. From there, they need to have an insurance. And then depending on what business it is, whether it's taking care of kids, an agent will know right away. We say the person, my business is, with my business, they'll know what the questions you need. Oh, you say the daycare, yes, yes, the license of CPR, take care of kids at home. When people ask what sort of business, they should know right away what sort of questions they should be asking. Excellent. Any other question that you might have right now? Yes, a question that's kind of strange, and I have no idea about this, about insurance or anything. Yeah, the documentation here in this, and does that affect your insurance any way whatsoever? No, if you have an ITIN or whatever the insurance is a request, what they're insuring is the business, not the person itself. They ask for the EIN for the business, and we also help you apply for EIN, and we don't charge. That's like the business insurance, so they don't ask for an ID, that maybe an ID to find out the owner of the company, but nothing else. So I was thinking maybe something could be affected, but what you're saying, there's no excuse whatsoever. You need to have insurance, always, you always need that. Yes, there's very cheap insurance, and when you start out, you start out $50, depending what sort of business you have. So it can be up to $1,000. So yeah, so you can have the claim if somebody gets hurt, of the product that you did. Perhaps it could be a glass business and it wasn't done right. Well, then, that's a manufacturing products. This is, that's a very big suit if you're not doing your products right. If you are, doing papers and the paper for any reason, cut somebody's finger, maybe, many times when you send packages in boxes, that person could have gotten hurt and you can sue them. You're in a country, person can sue for any reason whatsoever. So we have the power in this country of suing people, really, so that's really important, general liability for your business, because for whatever reason they took it, they took it the wrong way. It's important to stop it because that person was racist with me, for example. Well, I'm going to sue them, for example. The insurance will protect you from those sort of lawsuits. Any insurances that we need to be looking for the people who have online businesses? Should they be looking for anything in particular? Yes, there's insurance, and and that goes under general liability. That you can save you some trouble, and when you're working with a computer, it's very important to have a cyber protection. Cyber net protection, because people can hack the information of your clients, and it's been seen more and more of it. People, they just got sued because I got hacked, for example. That'd be awful. So many times, like me, we save personal information, and social security number, all that information is to be stored. So somebody does a hack, I need to have insurance for that, of course. Excellent. Saul, any other question on Facebook? Are we good? For those of you watching on Facebook, you can ask questions like I mentioned earlier. Yes, you can. Yes, just one last thing. We have many sectors. Some of us clean houses, and if something is broken at a house, then the insurance would cover us. I see there's another people who would jump. There's a lot of jumpy castles that have no insurance. What would happen? A kid got hurt. The insurance will also cover that. So insurance is like having a seatbelt on when you want to start a business. And here we also check here at the camera when we're trying to hire somebody for a service or some product. We need to check that, and depending on the service, we haven't been able to find a Latina person with insurance, unfortunately. So just so you're aware, that's true, that this still happened. And if they don't have insurance, the cheapest one, the most simple one of insurance, but you need to have it. You reminded me, and I don't know, it's on the news, perhaps, they saw it as well, that a person had a jumpy castle, and the kids were inside of the jumpy castle, and the wind comes and it comes and blows them over. So that's something that what you're saying, oh man, how many kids were inside that jumpy castle and they don't have insurance, and you don't have insurance. I mean, you're going to pay for it. You're going to pay for it. There are going to be suits and more suits. It's so dangerous to have a jumpy castle and not to have insurance on that. And Jaime, did you want to say something? No, I'm just listening. That's all. Just listening to the presentation. Another thing I wanted to say, that's perfect. Another thing I wanted to say to you, do you think, people think that, bad luck, right? Because the minute you don't have insurance, something's going to happen. That's guaranteed. So, people have the worst luck in the world, and the insurance is more than necessary for those situations. And I know that we'll say, please have insurance, but honestly, it can change your life completely. You don't even imagine, you know, you can, oh, $1 million. And where are you going to get $1 million out of? Just because you didn't want to pay for the insurance, it was $100 a month, right? Imagine that, right? Something so cheap, relatively speaking, that would save you millions of dollars and headaches. I mean, we know that your business is your life, and you can't have your business because you don't have your insurance. So then the income, where's it coming from? Yeah, but when it comes to the heart and, you know, duty and giving life to a business, this is like having life to giving life to a baby. So sorry to get in here. You give a life to an entity that's a business. You need to protect it. A lot of people say, "Oh, it has a different heart than the one that gave its life." No, it's not my business. No, honestly, you are opening an institution that's different, an entity that you need to protect, you need to take care of, you need to feed it in order for it to grow, because everyone wants a business that's going to grow. So how are we going to make it grow? You know, good accountant and good insurance, you good in the contracts, analyzing the sales, like we were talking about with John. So if you don't take care of the business, how are you going to live from it? You know, what is the final result? That you're not going to make money. You can, everybody wants a business to live from that business. If you don't take care of it, if you don't protect it, if you don't give it that love, at the end of the day, nobody leaves their kid when he's a baby and he's still walking. You don't take it out to the street to go to school alone because they don't know what they're doing. You need to take it by the hand. You need to you need to give love to that business that we want to grow. Once it begins to grow, once it begins to give fruit, and once it gives contracts, and once it has more, you can say, oh, that investment was well worth it. At the end of the day, you can deduct all that from your taxes. The government allows you to, if you open an entity, if you give life to that baby, to that heart, that you can take advantage of deducting all those benefits, all those deductions. So at the end of the day, you protect whatever you have. You buy a house, so the bank says to you, you need to have an insurance for that because it's an high investment, because it still belongs to the bank until you begin and finish paying for it. So, the bank's lending the money. So in the same way, the business, we want to protect businesses, always protect them. Yeah. Just one last thing, another thing, general liability coverage has a protection that if for any reason, if you let an employee go and they were to sue you against wrongful termination or harassment, or the general liability policy will protect you in that case. Here in the United States, the percentage that you win a case is 50%, that you win and then the other employee wins because you released him because he got hurt and he submitted a claim and you let him go because you didn't want him to file a workman's comp claim. So in another day, I had a client who had a restaurant and she was paying $3,000 a month just for general liability. I went to her business. We talked about her options. Instead of paying the $3,000, now she's paying $500 a month. So many times you're paying way too much, and that's why it's so important as well to you're not automatically taking this out of the bank, but she doesn't even think about it because she has it. But many times it's very important that you talk with your agent at least once a year to review your policies to see what you really need. If you really an alcohol license, well, you just got it because you thought you're gonna have alcohol and you don't have it anymore. So, well, you need to review this. It's super important to talk with your agent and to ask, do I need this coverage or not? Because I'm paying way too much. Because going from $3,000 to $500 a month, that was big. That was way much. You, that person was paying $3,000 because she didn't know what type of policy she needed to have. But after you advise them, now they're paying 500 instead of 3,000. Okay, that's what I wanted to know. It's really important. All this is really important. Please keep this in mind, because we're gonna have more online seminars about accounting. We're talking Jaime to get these going, because it's another topic that we know that in our community it's really important and of interest. Our community, Jaime mentioned something really important, which is to do all these investments. You can deduct this from your taxes 100%. You know, there's some deductions that are just certain percentage, but when it comes to more than anything, insurance and everything that has to do, for example, an attorney for your business, that's really important. An accountant, bookkeeper, you know, and you know, for payroll, that's really important more than anything, because like Carlos was saying, is to connect with our agent and ask for help, and above all to specialize. We have a lot of people that just want to sell way too much, and at the end of the day you only affect the business. But there's also businesses that at the same time they don't tell you that they're doing certain things, and then at the end of the day, you know, there's people that tell you, oh, I just need insurance for painting, but they end up doing roofing as well, or and you know, they start doing siding, and all of a sudden they call you and they say, oh man, the insurance that you gave me doesn't cover anything. Well, at the end of the day, it's very important to explain and do and analyze this with your client and know exactly what you're going to sell to them, because they need to be honest with you, and many times you need to get the truth out of them, because they want to save that money, and because they're selling them something cheap, at the end of the day the coverage is just not there. They're doing a job that is different, that doesn't belong to them when you have no coverage with them. So it's so important to have a good an agent, talk with them, and that person tell you exactly what they want to do and what is the goal, what they want to see within the year. They're painting and they're going to do carpentry. There's two different classifications. A lot of agents don't understand what are the different classifications. So you would need to do an analysis with the client so you can understand their needs and where they're headed for. Thank you, Jaime. Judith, do you have a question, or are you good? Yes, thank you. I wanted to ask Carla, you know, from what she explained and what she mentioned from her client, that she was able to get her money, the policy manager cheaper with some similar situation, that she's she's a concrete question to her as an agent. I'd imagine that you are. Do you accompany your client along the process when there's a claim, when there's there's a disaster that they're having to deal with it? The client, you know, does work on their own with the company or the agent, Carla? Do they go with the client along this process, or how does this work exactly? How's this process? I try to help as much as I can, but many times when you submit a claim, the insurance gives you a person who's going to help you out and will walk you through the process. This client that I had that had the accident on that Sunday, and to date, and they say they're not haven't answered us. Can you help me out? Of course. That's when I call and I say what's happening, and then I help them if they have questions. I am there the whole way, but many times they can't talk with me because the person they need to talk with is the insurance company, because many times they will want them to tell them what happened and what type of claim they're going to file, and they're going to see what sort of loss it is, what type of claim it is, and what's going to be paid, what's they're not going to pay. So if you have any questions, obviously I'm ready to respond. I give you the phone number. If you're having a bad experience with a person from the insurance company, you know, you can call me. I'm there for you. And you can text me, you can call me, whatever. This person, it's been a month and they haven't paid out on my claim yet. Okay, very well. Let me call them and let me find out why they're taking so long. But I get on the phone with the insurance company, I ask what they need, what is still missing, because sometimes it's communication that gets lost along the way, that the person the insurance company started to call the client, they're not answering, or the client is calling the company and they're not answering either. So many times it's keep getting the lines of conversation going. If you want to you be with them, you need to have a communication with me, because sometimes you're trying to call me or I'm calling you and you're not responding to me. So then, it works both ways. So just keeping open lines of communication so we can have a two-way communication. Yeah. Just a little question, Carla. How long does it take the process? Talking with you tomorrow. So, when the coverage depends on the business. The days it can be as fast as possible. It could be 3 or 4 days. So you have a license that we're always preparing, and 90 days wait time. But they're gonna always, what they have to talk with the insurance as well. How does that solve work? How do we have a, what do you call it? A budget, yes. Only in a specific day it gets activated and you're saying, no, we're doing a job here. We did my homework, but we're not going to pay you yet because we're not going to have anything until January. That's the best thing you can do, to begin and to get prices before opening up, because the agent is ready. Like, for example, in my case, yes, if you're going to open that business, you call me tomorrow, you say, we don't have the license yet. We think we're going to open around the beginning of next year in December. So I give you the price and then you have it. And once you have the license, you call me that very day and I'll be ready and I'll have the prices. The only thing that I need is to get the payment, and then for example, you're gonna have, instead of 10 kids, you're gonna have 11. Just make those sort of changes. That type of business can be done the same day changes. It's not so much of a wait, but that's why it's so important that if you're gonna know that you're gonna need it in a few months, it's really important once and for all to do it all together, because you don't want to leave it to the last minute. Thank you. Perfect. I think time for one last question, okay? Or maybe no one else. Very well. So we'll leave it. So Carla, thank you for teaching us about insurance company, what you should and shouldn't do. And thank you so much for your time. We really appreciated it. Thank you. And we'll see everybody again in the next event, in the next virtual event. If you go to our webpage and then we can go register. So thank you so much and good evening to all. Hey, before leaving quickly, I'm gonna put the chat. There's an event with the Google offices, so you can be aware. The page of the Latino Chamber. For you, Judith and Martha, that are just beginning your business, you should go. Volunteer that works at Google, that was, how to put up their daycare, and what you need for your. So this is a quick announcement. So we're gonna more information over the next few days. And thanks for coming. Thank you, John and Carla, for tonight. Thank you. Thanks to everyone. Thank you, of course, and good night. And thank you, Judith and Martha, for being here. I really appreciate you. I'll keep sending you all the information that I get, okay? That's the idea. That's the idea. Well, yes. And thanks to the Facebook friends that are watching us as well. Yeah, okay.